Welcome back to Stooge Stream. This is the WCPW recap show. I'm your host, the Knockout Fiona, and I'm joined by the obsolete mule to my Matt Hardy, the Stooge.
Thank you for that kind intro.
Well, it's a little bit off kilter because I think that's a TNA reference, but this episode of Loaded, which was number 18, did feature broken Matt Hardy quite heavily, so...
And that's never a bad thing.
Yeah, it'll work. So Loaded, episode 18. Again, we're up to 18 episodes plus pay-per-views. I can't believe it. And this episode went straight into action. We got to see Johnny Mundo versus Alberto El Patron.
Who at one point did call him Morrison, which was quite funny.
Yeah, which actually Morrison / Mundo / Munro, whatever he calls himself on the circuit.
Johnny Mundo.
Yeah, he's had different names over time, different incarnations. He missed a good call in return, calling him Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah.
That would have been very cute.
I did like the opening to this match after they both came out and he got his heel heat and El Patron got his face pop. Their interaction prior to the match, Patron being the I'm here to fight, I'm, the sweary good guy, and Mundo being the sleazy, cheating heel, the cheap, hey, tried to get him riled up and then no, calm down, we're not doing that. It was I like the way those guys work. They know their characters and they know how to work them.
Yeah, definitely. Mundo's obviously been having a lot of fun in the scene, in the non-mainstream scene, in Lucha Underground and other promotions.
Yeah, he's been featured heavily in Lucha Underground for the past, I believe, 2 to 3 years. So.
Yeah. It was good to see him. As we said last week, the Stooge and I did not get to watch Delete WCPW due to poor quality. Which is a bit of an understatement, but so we got to see a rematch, was it? Or I don't know. Well, anyway, we got to see Mundo, who missed out at the pay-per-view, versus Patron. Yeah, it was actually a really long segment, but half of it was just Mundo getting heel heat on the crowd with, local pops, bagging out, I think, Sunderland people, and then obviously there's heat between Newcastle and Sunderland. Local references, which is always very cute when they've done their homework.
Yeah, it is. And I love the Patron is getting everybody's chanting Papi, Papi, which is one of his nicknames on the indie circuit.
Oh, cute.
And yeah, he does get a really good face pop in WCPW.
Yes.
It's excellent.
Well, he did reaffirm that they are his people, so they are his people by default. Thanks
you
to
don't
Paige.
talk about my people like this, and I can do that because I'm half Spanish, and it's not racist.
The crowd were a curious bunch on this episode. At one point, Mundo was on his knees. And they were chanting for an act of fellatio.
Yeah. Or as Alex Shane put it, we might get to see our first act of Greco-Roman fellatio, to which Dave Bradshaw said, Greco-Roman fellatio, are you fucking kidding me? And then Alex Shane was on his best behavior after that.
That was something that we actually took a good note of. Overall, it was a relatively short wrestling match, but when they got into it, I think it was
a good match,
back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, look, they only wrestled for probably 5-6 minutes or something, but the 5-6 minutes were really good, fast. There was a lot happening. It wasn't wasted time. They just spent their time building up the match. These guys have no reason to be in the ring together, so they drew heat and got their face and did all that, so the audience had a reason to want to be invested, and by the end of it, everyone was invested in it.
Yeah, it was a fun match. It was interesting because it was standalone from the other WCPW storylines. Yeah. Whereas your other stars, we see later on, Bully Ray and Matt Hardy, or Broken Matt Hardy, integrate with the stories. Yeah. But
it's nice to see that from time to time. Just let's just see these guys go. Yeah.
But you made an interesting observation, Stu, about Mundo's wrestling style.
Of course I did. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry. I mean, he is very flashy, but his wrestling style is very flashy to match his getup. But he doesn't look like he makes much of an impact.
No, honestly, he looks like the safest worker in the world. He makes everything look massive, but if you look really closely, he barely touches anyone. And then when he does massive moves, it's him taking the bump. There was a spinning neckbreaker drop thing that he did, and he's the one that took the bump on his shoulders.
Yes,
and protected Patron. He honestly looks like the safest worker he doesn't ever want to hurt anyone except himself. And even then he's going to try and protect himself. But he makes it look really good though. That's the thing. That's the trick. If you can be that safe but make it look that good, then dude, you're amazing.
Yeah, and surely it relies on the partner you're working with to help sell it and these two worked well together. Patron was victorious with the face win with his cross arm breaker submission on Mundo. And then we moved on back to the shenanigans of Patchitti Club and the WCPW overarching storyline.
Yep.
We cut backstage to the little broom closet with Patchitti visibly worried about the upcoming main event, which was his career, or his job, versus Martin Kirby's career.
So if Martin Kirby wins, he becomes the new GM of What Culture Pro Wrestling. If Martin Kirby loses, he's fired.
He's out.
And it's a 3-on-2 main event with him tagging with Matt Hardy and the Patchitti Club members of the Swords of Essex tagging with Bully Ray. But we'll get to that. In said broom closet, Patchitti was continuing to boss Jack the Jobber around. How much more can he take? Ordering him to go get coffee, even though he had a kettle right in front of him, I might say. But it was a nicer interaction than he's like, sorry, go get me my coffee, boy.
Oh, Jack.
Poor Jack.
Job. So then we went straight back to ringside action for a women's title match, which was lovely to see. We haven't had a women's match for a little while. It was quite a short match, though. I'm just going to put that out there. Just a little bit disappointing. They didn't get a lot of wrestling time.
Yeah, look, it was only about 10 minutes, and it was...
not even.
Say about. It was a rematch that we've seen multiple times now, Bea Priestley versus Nixon Newel for the title, except... The difference is this time, Bea Priestley is a different character now.
Exactly.
She's evolved into a member of the Patchitti Club, part of Swords of Essex. So there is a reason to see this again. Not just like...
Just like, these are the only women we've got.
Let's just throw them together. They've actually made it worthwhile. I wanted to see this match. It was like, okay, cool. I want to see what her new character is like versus what her old character did in the ring. And... how the swords are going to interact and what's going to happen there. And so I was interested.
It was good. It was nice to see the swords did come down to the ring with Bea Priestley, which was interesting later on. So we had Scotty Wainwright and Paul Robinson accompanying her. I like that. I hate when you've got a faction and the chicks match is on and no one goes with her. It's just like, so she has to go with everyone else when it's her match. No one gives a shit. No one cares, so that was good. I was like, yeah, boys. However, they haven't really interfered that much, but I think Nixon Newel just wanted to prove a point. And at one point, she dived into the ropes on top of Scotty and Paul and took them out, which is very cute. Which is very cool. Yeah.
They only interfered once in the match by grabbing her legs, so they could get a cheap shot in. Yeah. There wasn't too much interference.
Until the end. So Nixon Newel won quickly in this very short match with a massive shining wizard.
It was huge.
Yeah, it was good, that was lovely. But then the boys jumped in and started manhandling her, pretty roughly.
Yeah. Little Paul Robinson was having a go. Yeah. If he's going to square up to a woman, he had his shoulders up. And
Bea Priestley grabbed the title belt and gave her a massive whack with it. So took her out with her own title and then took off with the title.
Stole the title.
Yeah.
Just full stole that stuff, Essex style. We're just taking it, don't care. Can't have it, crack open the car window and just take the car stereo. That's fine.
The only way is Essex. So poor Nixon Newel clearly needs some face friends to help her combat Swords of Essex. Then we went into match number 3, which was a triple tag team match.
Yeah.
Before this, however, we had a little segment of the Coffeys with Joe Coffey talking to the camera saying we really need to regroup and we've come off another loss and we have to think about what we're going to do now. God, he does a lot of reflecting. How about you just do some winning?
Yeah. Oh, that's rough. That's your rough.
It is a bit rough. With his brother Mark looking visibly unhappy about the whole situation and more perplexed and starting to get pissed
Yeah.
off. And then Mustache Mountain came along. Yay, Mustache Mountain. And said, look, we've come off a loss too when we haven't had the best run. Like, let's get out there and
prove what we're worth, let the best team win.
Exactly.
And Mark obviously wasn't too impressed and walked away. Joe did the handshake and then did the mustache, like, hey, good mustache. You too. I like the bit as well. Like,
It was very cute.
Now, this triple threat tag team elimination tornado tag rules match. So let me explain how that works. Only 2 people are in the ring at any time. Anyone can tag in. So it can be a member of the team not currently in. It can be your own partner. So anyone can tag in at any time. It's elimination rules. So you get pinned, your team's eliminated. And then it goes down to the last 2 teams as per normal. Normally these matches are done with 4 teams.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see the dynamic with 3. And the 3 teams were...
So we had Prospect first off with Gracie and Archer. And a lot of dabbing. Mustache Mountain and the Coffeys. Mustache Mountain had the longest entrance.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's just like, how do they indulge them so much?
It's one of those Bobby Roode moments. Like, they're so over that could go for like another 10 minutes and no one would really care. Like, everyone would still be cheering and shaking their hands and like, yeah, they're just that over that they can get away with it.
So this match was like, I think it flowed really nicely. Prospect continued some of their shenanigans. Like, I think they have a really good combo of their sort of comedy heel characters with some solid technical wrestling.
Yeah, definitely.
Gracie had like a couple of pairs of like wrestling trunks on, and one of them had his face on it and stuff, and he was doing, ass and face move and that type of thing.
Archer's always like, he's the unsung hero of Prospect, because he's the dude that takes all the bumps, but yet does some great wrestling as well. But yeah, the person that gets the big comedy spot is usually Gracie or Kennedy or someone else. Like, he doesn't get that. He's the unsung hero of that team. He really is.
You really need to go back and watch Prospect very carefully. These guys are amazing, like how young they are.
Yeah.
I always enjoy watching them, but I do like when the shenanigans are kept to a minimum, I have to say. Like, and this match was really good. With the 3 of them, it flowed a little bit differently. Like, it just kept moving, which is great.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes with, again, Mustache Mountain, they can be a lot of, as we've seen other tag matches, chop fests.
Yeah, with Johnny Moss, that was ridiculous.
So the first win actually went to the Coffeys. They got a lovely, I guess, double team, clothesline, lariat, black coffee thing. Yeah,
it was this great little sequence where there was a spinning elbow, I think, or into holding them, and then drops him into the black coffee, and like, it was just a really nice little sequence.
So they got the win over Archer, as you said, who always takes the bumps.
He always takes the big hits,
And so then it was Mustache Mountain and the Coffee squaring off, which was probably inevitable after their little backstage promo. But not too long after Prospect were eliminated, Mustache Mountain did get the win with their lovely tag team combo of the chop, then the boot, then the bridging suplex pin.
Yeah. Again, that's another really
from
nice
Tyler Bate,
sequence.
I should say, Tyler Bate, who's 19. Let's just remember that.
Tyler Bate and Trent Seven have just amazing chemistry, and that sequence shows it. Like, it just goes to. There's no holes in it. There's no gaps in it. Like, it just it's seamless. It's really good.
Yeah, and again, Tyler Bate is 19. I just can't believe it.
Yeah,
and his bridging suplex pin is just lovely and makes me think, oh my god, I really need to go and do some more yoga right this very instant. I would never do that. So that was the first win for Mustache Mountain.
It was, and that's
incredible.
They're now the number 1 contenders for the tag team titles. Maybe
are they though? It was a little bit confusing.
Maybe,
I think someone at one point, maybe either Alex Shane or Bradshaw, decided it was a number 1 contender match, or maybe one of the teams did.
I don't know. But maybe.
Probably. Very likely.
There's a good chance. And the Coffeys, of course, started falling apart. And they had a moment where they started pushing and shoving and miscommunication.
Yeah. Coffey, I should say, Joe took out Mark with his black coffee.
By accident.
Yeah.
But after the match as well, they had a shoving match and so forth. So that's going to lead to a series of, hopefully, matches between the Coffey brothers.
Why not? I'm sure they've wrestled each other before. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
Hardy
probably
style.
at home when they were like 12 and 13 and stuff like that.
Hardy style. Speaking of, that leads us to the main event. So there's only 4 wrestling matches on this card. It felt a little bit shorter.
It was only an hour and 18 long episode of Loaded, which normally Loaded's about an hour 45.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it was a bit shorter, but...
I think it's the wrap-up of the whole Delete story. Yeah.
I don't know what else you could have... There's really no other match to put on right now. Like, we can start afresh with the next episode. Like, I get that. It was a bit short, though, admittedly.
Yeah, I was just thinking, yeah. But no, it's good. It's good. Like, coming off such a big pay-per-view with such big stars, like, I think, you don't want to go too much. Last episode of Loaded was epic as well.
It was
sort of
huge,
tapering off a bit. But not in a bad way, because main event, we had Bully Ray and Broken Matt Hardy. But I loved this, before I break it down a bit more, I love the fact that they were there to enhance the WCPW or What Culture storyline. Like, they weren't there doing their own thing. They were fully integrated, which is just really
Bully
cute.
Ray was wearing a Patchitti Club
I know,
shirt.
I love that. So this, of course, was the stipulation, the 3-on-2, the Swords of Essex with Bully Ray versus Martin Kirby and Broken Matt Hardy, and a career versus general managership match. So the Swords of Essex were accompanied by Brie, who had the Bea Priestley,
wearing the fake title, and Adam Patchitti. Well, not the fake title, the stolen title.
Stolen title, yeah.
And Adam Patchitti, who before we even because when we get to the match, he becomes secondary for a big part of it. And there's no point really breaking down bit by bit what he was doing, but it was every time he was on screen, he was amazing. He's a great actor. In a very short period of time, he's developed into a fantastic character. He knows how to get his point across without using words. Do you know how hard that is? Like, you can just look at him at ringside and he's doing his little shtick and you know exactly what he's saying. You know exactly what he means and what the intent is. And it's to do that without words is the most difficult thing. It's a skill beyond skill. It's a Charlie Chaplin thing. Like, he could tell you a story without words. And Patchitti does that fantastically. I'm really enjoying, especially the last month or so, his acting skills and his involvement in the story and pushing it forward and so forth.
Yeah, he's becoming that almost slightly unhinged, maniacal GM. Yeah, like I said, I reckon he got some pointers from
Eric
Bischoff.
Yeah.
Although he probably doesn't need them. He does seem like a great actor himself. So yeah, this match was... What did you think of it overall? I was pretty impressed, actually.
I really liked it. And there was a few reasons why I liked it. And one, as you said, because the focus wasn't on the international talent. Even though they enhanced and there was some great spots from them and so forth, focus wasn't on them. It was on the Swords of Essex, Adam Patchitti, and Martin Kirby. So that was great. When at the end, Matt Hardy and Bully Ray actually went backstage, so the actual entire focus just became on Martin Kirby and the Swords of Essex. That was great. The spots in the match were really tight. I didn't see any mistake, and maybe because I was just so involved in the story and enjoying it. I thought Matt Hardy's performance was fantastic. Bully Ray's performance, egging on the crowd on the ring, on the apron and so forth, fantastic. Swords of Essex, they were just brilliant as well. But the shining star in the match was Martin Kirby.
Of course, yeah.
Like, he just somehow, from all his talent around him, every time he's in the ring, it's hard to take your eyes off him. Like, the dude is just awesome. He's so charismatic and such a talent and such a worker. It's just hard to watch anyone else. And we're talking like Broken Matt Hardy and Bully Ray and people.
Legends now.
Legends. And you're like, no, I'll put Kirby back in for a bit. Like, let's see more of him.
It was very cute at one point when Kirby and Bully Ray were facing off in the ring. Kirby obviously his character is not intimidated by Bully Ray, which was great. That was showing that, like everything's on the line for him, but he's not going to be...
he's not going to back down.
He's not going to be bullied. But Bully Ray apparently weighs in at 310 pounds and Kirby's 180, and the size difference. But again, he made it believable.
Yeah.
Like... And the Swords of Essex got a nice little showing in this too. Yeah, I think Bully Ray really interacted with them well, as did Broken Matt with Kirby doing a little homage to the Hardy Brothers tag team with Matt on all fours and Kirby springing off him, except when he was shut down by Bully Ray the second time.
Oh, that was massive as well. So that's what I mean. Like, that was a massive spot by Bully Ray. It looked fantastic. It was so well timed and well executed. And you can see why the dude's a legend. The timing on that was milliseconds.
Yeah, and the Swords of Essex themselves, I think, really solidified their characters in this match with, Robinson. Apparently he headbutted Kirby so hard that he split himself open. Whether he bladed or not, I don't know. Hard to tell. Very well possibly looks like he commits that hard to his character.
I think he just headbutted the dude and went, oh crap, too
like
much.
Street tough, and like holding him by in the mouth, like fish hooking Kirby, throwing him around and that type of thing. Once after the Swords of Essex and Bully Ray had dominated Kirby for a while, which was inevitable. They had to beat him down. They had to push him to the limits. Like everything was on the line. He finally got the tag to Hardy, who took it out on Robinson and bit his ear, and blood was going everywhere.
Blood capsule.
So this is apparently what he did to Jack the Jobber at Delete.
That's great.
That's why Jack's wearing that bandage. Righto. A bit of pantomime doesn't go astray.
But he's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
So at that point, that's when Bully Ray and Hardy sort of got it on and carried off outside the arena or outside the ring. So we don't know what happened there. They just...
they went backstage.
And at this point, Scotty Wainwright went to grab a chair while the ref was down, taken out by Bully Ray earlier. Uses the chair, misses on Kirby, who then grabs the chair, realized the ref was coming to and waking up and getting back in the ring, and so does the Eddie Guerrero.
Does the awesome Eddie Guerrero spot. And one of the best things was Eddie's last match versus Mr. Anderson, who was Mr. Kennedy at the time.
Kennedy.
He did that spot where he hits the mat, the ref turns around, he throws a chair at the dude's holding the chair, he's on the ground holding his head, all of a sudden the ref's like, what, you're disqualified. It was great, and the crowd actually started chanting, Eddie, Eddie. I really like that.
That's nice when you have a smarky crowd that get what they're doing and get the homage.
That was amazing. That was a great moment by Kirby.
Well, the ref was about to disqualify the match. Disqualify throughout the match and disqualify the Swords of Essex. But Patchitti, being ringside, was like, don't you dare, this is a no DQ match, making the rules up as they go, because that's his prerogative as GM. But Kirby was not to be bested. He got the better of Paul Robinson with a beautiful sable bomb and got the pin, which was just wonderful.
Which was a great moment. And everybody lost their mind. Matt Hardy came back down after Kirby got the win and got a moment himself.
Yeah.
Then Hardy came down and put him over. Over.
Now, this was after Kirby had spent some time tormenting Adam Patchitti.
I wanted to get to that. I wanted to save that for the last little bit. So the last thing was, well, that didn't happen in sequence last, but the last thing I wanted to talk about was another moment that happened between Martin Kirby and Adam Patchitti. So Pachitti's in the ring on his knees, can't believe that Martin Kirby's won. He's now the GM of WCPW. What's Patchitti going to do? Kirby goes under the ring and gets a pink Martin Kirby branded chair for him. Puts it in the ring, goes, come on, buddy, have a seat. Have a seat. It's all right. Because how about we give everyone Christmas off? Do you want Christmas off, Adam? And he's just like completely lost and doesn't know what... He played it so well. And Kirby super kicks the shit out of him, which he sold really well too.
Lovely, yeah.
It is one of the most feel-good,
vindication,
awesome vindicated moments of wrestling in the past few years. This is the finally getting it over on the evil boss. This is the Attitude Era Stone Cold beating on Vince McMahon. But it's Kirby beating on Patchitti.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I really thought it was great. But the acting from both of them.
Yeah.
Interacting with the crowd. Kirby talking to just go watch it. I don't want to tell you exactly what he said and what he did and all the rest of it, because it's a moment that's so worth just watching and enjoying. And him actually interacting with the crowd and calling them weirdos at one point because they asked for something that...
Oh, again,
Yeah.
Weird crowd.
But it was just great. And then, again, Matt Hardy coming out and putting him over. It was great.
Yeah.
Great.
So this is sort of that conclusion, or at least next chapter in this storyline. So we'll see what happens from here. Now, you, Stooge, were secretly hoping that we might see a reappearance of Adam Blompied, but maybe not quite yet.
I think he's going to come in and take over as Kirby will eventually be like, I don't want to do this job. This is stupid.
I'm a wrestler.
So I'm going to put in a new GM, and you'll see Patchitti okay, yeah, I'm getting it back out. Yeah. And he teases it for a week or two. He's like, yeah, there's, we need an Adam in charge, and Patchitti all happy. And
the other option is they could turn Kirby heel, because we do love heels. And the power could go to his head, and he becomes a dictator, and everyone's like, what are we going to do about him? And the two Adams have to join back forces to take him down.
No, I want Blompier to come in as a face.
Yeah.
And he's the only way to take down a dickhead is to have another dickhead in charge. This dickhead. And Adam Blompier comes out. He's I've learned my lesson. I'm sorry. I did the wrong thing. I'm going to do the right thing now. And he can be the face GM for the next season of WCPW.
Nice. Well, I think it is the next season. We're going to have a little Christmas break, it seems. So hopefully at some point between now and the new year, we'll get another episode of Loaded, if not early next year. And there's another pay-per-view coming up soon as well. Please,
with Kurt Angle versus El Patron. Yeah, get the shit right and film it in some frame rate that doesn't look like it was filmed on an iPhone 3, please.
But on that note, keep doing what you're doing. We love it.
Thank you so much. We'll be back as soon as there's another episode of WCPW. If this is it for the year, I hope you've enjoyed our recap show. And let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you go watch WCPW. It's free on YouTube.
Yeah, when we went to NXT this week in Sydney, and even audience members who we sort of chatted with that seemed smarky had no idea. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're watching NXT. You obviously like somewhat decent wrestling. Get on to WCPW. It's free.
And until we're back, don't forget, adventure, excitement, Stooge Craves, not these things.
Welcome to the Stooge Revolution.